Okay, so I found the descriptions I was looking for in the technical drawing. This is the 15th edition. So the descriptions are in third angle projection. The views are produced as if the observer is on the outside looking in. And the first angle is the observer looks through the object to the planes of projection. So that was what I was trying to say, is you're kind of looking at it from the right side, or you're looking through the part as where it would be laying along the along that plane. So I kind of reverse those, but so the views are projected from the object onto the plane behind the objects in each case. So just keep that in mind if you see a drawing that is marked, and we will do a symbol. And just so see how far I want to take this. We'll put a projection symbol, and we'll keep modifying our sheet format. But again, these are all optional, and you decide, and over time, how much you want to build into it. So each time, I'm going to start back with the previous document template. So I am not going to bring in a model. We've generated enough of those items. So let's take a look at some of the dimension and our standard. All right. So in the options, we go to the document properties, and this is set for ISO. And we will, if you prefer ANSI, you can switch it to ANSI. Um, I've um, I've gotten kind of used to my vertical dimensions lying along the vertical rather than staying horizontal. I like some of the leaders in line as opposed to the angle leaders. I mean, there's minor differences. I tend to stay with the ISO. So you can certainly make these modifications to the ANSI, and as soon as we start making changes, then this will become a modified standard. All right, so one of the first things that we would notice is in the units, if I'm in 3 decimal places, then now all of a sudden it has been changed to modified. And at some point, we would want to save these standards to an external file so that we could manage those geometries a little bit better. Have access to it. If something changes, be able to get back to it. So one of the things that we need is, if I go into the dimensions, then there is a font, and the Century Gothic is fine. And somewhere, let's see if it's scrolled down a little bit. And again, between inch and metric, standards, leading, trailing zeros, do we use those? This is where we're going to find the dual dimensions. And I think maybe I'm in the overall, because there it is, the layer. So we could set a layer for each item, but that's not going to be very practical. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And I want to turn on the layers. So since I'm not seeing it here, and they're not here, I either need to turn on the toolbar for layers, and then also, if we're going to do anything specific, it could also adjust for the line format. So if I wanted to make color changes or thickness changes to my title block in the background, I could use that. The other item would be that if I go to the customize, and I haven't tried this before, so let's see where the layer tools are. And so change layer and layer properties. So if I drag that up to my drawing, that would be one way to do this. A lot of times I just turn the toolbar on and off. as needed. But if I go to the layer properties, now that is going to reside there. That's not a bad place for it. All right, so the layers are going to be something that I can create anew. And sometimes I'll type out dimensions, sometimes I just do dims. As long as you're consistent, then it's good. And we're going to pick something that is a little bit more discernible. I would like the C lines, so center lines, and uh, the points. I can't think what they're called now, but my center lines and the circle locations, and then maybe one for sections. Right, so the C lines end up being, I usually go with something like that, and the sections a little bit darker. Depends on how the print works. All right, so we have some in there to pick. Name them what makes sense. And if I come over here, we have the center lines and the center marks. So either way, that's what I'm working towards. And I want to build in a on the options then into this standard that my angle is going to be on the dims layer. We're just going to go down and set all of these. And I don't know of any faster way than to just pick and select and make sure that I'm not picking the wrong ones. All right, so what this is going to do for me is when I set the layer, when I go into, I save my document template and I open this up, it's going to be defaulted to these predefined layers, and that will save me the step of setting each one. All right, so those were the dim layers. Let's see, under annotations, there's another one, views. For section views, then we'll pull the sections. Detail, auxiliary, probably not so much, but let's go ahead and hit OK. And then we should see, maybe I need to bring that in, or, no, there's the layer properties. Well, let's go ahead and turn the toolbar on. All right, so it is set to sections, and I want to go per standard. So my toolbars are locked, that's why I kind of threw that one down. This layer properties is the same as the one I added up here. So I'm not sure which one that was. I wouldn't mind having it up there, but as long as that is per standard, when I save this sheet format, and I'm going to do this over and over again just to make sure that anything else I change that isn't in one is in the other, and I catch it. SOLIDWORKS templates, simple ALAN, yes. And at some point I may go back and rename the other ones so that they are consistent with each other. The drawing template, and back to my folder, and save. All right, so the test. We close this out because I do not want to put a drawing in here and end up saving it to the document template, and then it keeps showing up over and over again. So we're going to do new, a landscape. It is per standard. I'm going to browse to my my component. So we were playing with the bracket. That is fine. Let's do, if I turn off that automatic and I go to the view palette instead, that is not open, so we're going to do the ... And there's a name for the ... but I can't remember what it is. But we go into the to the front view. I drag out to the right view, the top view, and the isometric view. And where the model view generates those for me, this takes a little bit, maybe a little bit more. Since we're here, I also want to talk about changing the configuration. So if I go to the L bracket, that one's going to show up. Now I did not insert this with the L bracket. So let's see what happens if we go to center marks for all holes, and there should be one automatically, and then select one or more drawing views. All right, so my center lines and center marks come in as the magenta. I don't really need a section view here, but if I go into the drawing view and I were to perform a section view, then I'm seeing those come up in the green. And then the most important one, whichever color that you prefer. Now the dimensions have a little bit more clarity to them, and we're noticing this is going to be the main difference for the ISO standard versus the ANSI. My extension line for the diameter and the radius is going to be linear. For the vertical dimensions, instead of remaining horizontal, it actually follows the vertical extension line, and they're sitting on top of the extension lines. There's no break in the extension line like an ANSI. And if I want to change the view, let's see if I can, I've done that before, but I can't think of it right now. So if I want to change the dimension, I'm just going to delete it in this case. There are times where I can drag and drop and it will pick those up, but this is going to be one of those cases where I think it's just easier to delete it out of the one view and place it in the other. All right, so now we have something that's a little bit more colorful. And again, I really didn't need the section view. That was more for the look. And since we're discussing views in this one, let's go ahead with a broken out section. And it's going to put me in the spline, and I want to see some portion of this through bore. And the depth is going to be either to something that we select in another view, or since this went to the 1.18, we're going to be looking at a 0.59 and preview it. And there is my broken out section. All right, so we're gonna tinker with these. We're gonna find some places to use all of these, and go through this process. But that verifies that I have reasonably well set up my my document template. And let's see, this is the bracket. So I'm gonna take the push pin out and see if I made the mistake. So this is sheet 1. And I could go ahead and save this as a drawing. The other thing that I want to make sure of is that when I save all, that it takes me back to my folder, because it has a habit that if I just save the template, of going back to the template folder and not putting me back in my project folder. So this is going to be the bracket drawing, and this also assumes now that we're doing just one part per sheet, one assembly per sheet, which is fine. We're going to have sheet 1 of 1 all of the time. I'm going to close this video with, and go ahead and activate that again. We're going to open up our template one more time. And let's turn off the start command when we're creating, because that's going to give me the option of coming up here to model view or coming over here to the view palette. Let's go ahead and collapse that so I have a little more room with the options. And under the document properties, and this is another one that I have to remember where we hide it every time. So auto insert on view creation. We're already doing the center marks for the holes. Don't really run into fillets too much. Now we'll go ahead and do slots. Assembly, no. Dowel symbols, maybe not. Center lines, sometimes I'd rather pick those when I need them. And then the drawing sheets. So previous to this, in the properties, I had a convoluted process. Realized that they added this, and now we can browse to the additional sheets and make sure that the SolidWorks template gets added. All right, so that's my sheet format. Find that one. The other thing that does still come up in the properties is, do I want to use the first sheet? So I'm going to make sure that I don't see that in here before I jump. Okay, so there it is. Multi-sheet custom property source. Use custom property values from this sheet on all sheets. I'm just going to uncheck that because I'm going to do different parts on each additional sheet. I don't necessarily want it to carry those over. So let's test that theory as well. We need to save the sheet format. Gets a little tiresome navigating back through. So pick an easy location or set it to your quick access so you're not having to navigate too much. And the drawing template and back to. And yes. All right, make sure to close it. And then we're gonna, this time I'll go new. All right, so the test now becomes, let's go to the view palette, and I don't think anything's open. So it went back to the templates to open, and like I said, we just want to make sure that when I save as, I'm not saving to that template folder. So let's go with the bracket, and I'm going to open up the L bracket first. And I want the front view, and then it's going to project the right view, the top view, and the isometric. And notice it brought in the center marks for me. Let's zoom to fit, and then we'll close out this video with adding an additional sheet. And I want to insert, I was going to switch over, let's do model view on this one. So I want the bracket, and under the bracket I'm going to be able to pick the C bracket. And the advantage to the model view is that I'm going to be able to grab those 4 views. We still get the center marks, so that's good. Hidden lines are kind of one of those. If it adds clarity, I turn on the hidden lines. We saw previously that it didn't look like the parent style was being attached, so that would be important if I needed that level of detail. And as far as my process, right, so this is where the configuration name would come in a little bit more handy. Is to, what are we going to do on this one? We're still doing the bracket, so let's go ahead and refresh it. And this one went right back to the L bracket. So here I'm not getting a list for the configuration. So that's kind of a problem. Let's go to the model view, and I will bring in the Z bracket, and we're going to create multiple views, pick those additional. All right, so this gives me my my items. I go into the annotation, I apply, start applying the dimensions. All right, and then this is my iterations of drawings. Is typically I will go through and I will add, if I'm doing multi-sheet, I will add the parts and think about the sequence. And then the next one is to go through and do basic dimensions and start to think about tolerances. And then the next pass is a tolerance pass, and then the next pass is to go to GD&T, or geometric dimensioning and tolerancing. So as it goes through each of these steps, we're refining, we're getting a little closer, we're getting something that's a little bit more manufacturable.